Have you ever wondered how Nike became one of the most powerful companies in the world, selling something as simple as shoes? Because when you really start looking at Nike's business, something interesting begins to appear. Nike isn't just a shoe company. In fact, the real business model behind Nike is much more powerful than most people realize. And once you understand how Nike actually makes its money, you'll start seeing the entire sports industry in a completely different way. Welcome back to the channel, The Money Behind It, where we break down the real business models behind the biggest companies in the world. Today, we're taking a deep look at Nike, because Nike didn't just build a brand. They built a global machine. A machine that generates tens of billions of dollars every year. But here's something surprising. Nike doesn't even manufacture most of the shoes that it sells. That might sound strange at first. After all, if Nike is selling the shoes, shouldn't they also be making them? But that's not how their business works. Nike focuses on three things: design, marketing, and brand power. The actual manufacturing is outsourced to independent factories around the world. Most of Nike's shoes are produced in countries like Vietnam, Indonesia, and China. This allows Nike to avoid the enormous cost of owning and operating factories. Factories are expensive to build, expensive to maintain, and require large numbers of workers. By outsourcing production, Nike keeps its business model flexible and efficient. Instead of worrying about manufacturing, Nike focuses on the parts of the business that generate the most value. And that is branding. The Nike swoosh is one of the most recognizable logos on the planet. But Nike didn't become a global giant overnight. The company actually started in 1964 under a different name, Blue Ribbon Sports. It was founded by Phil Knight and Bill Bowerman. At the time, they weren't designing their own shoes at all. Instead, they were importing running shoes from a Japanese company called Onitsuka Tiger and selling them in the United States. But over time, they realized something important. If they wanted to build a truly powerful company, they needed to control their own brand. So they created Nike. And that decision would eventually change the entire sports industry. But one of the smartest strategies Nike ever used was something that now seems obvious: athlete endorsements. Nike realized early on that if the best athletes in the world wore their products, people would naturally associate Nike with performance and greatness. One of the most famous examples happened in 1984. Nike signed a young basketball player who had just entered the NBA. His name was Michael Jordan. At the time, Jordan was just a rookie. Many people believed the deal was risky, but Nike took a chance and created a signature shoe line called Air Jordans. What happened next changed sneaker culture forever. Air Jordans exploded in popularity. They became more than just basketball shoes. They became a fashion statement, a cultural symbol. Today, the Jordan brand alone generates billions of dollars every year for Nike. And Nike continued repeating this strategy, partnering with the biggest athletes in the world: LeBron James, Serena Williams, Cristiano Ronaldo, Tiger Woods. Each endorsement strengthened Nike's brand and influence across multiple sports. But endorsements are only part of the business model. Another key part of Nike's success is pricing power. Because Nike doesn't compete by being the cheapest brand, they compete by being the most desirable. A pair of Nike shoes might cost somewhere between $30 and $40 to manufacture. But those same shoes might sell for $120, $150, or sometimes even more. That difference between production cost and retail price is where Nike earns massive profit margins. And the reason customers are willing to pay that premium comes down to one thing: brand perception. Nike has spent decades building trust with customers. When someone buys a Nike product, they believe they are buying quality. They believe they are buying performance. They believe they are buying something worn by the best athletes in the world, and that belief makes the brand extremely valuable. But Nike didn't stop evolving. In recent years, the company has made another major shift in its business strategy. Instead of relying heavily on retailers like sporting goods stores and department stores, Nike began focusing on selling directly to customers. This strategy is called direct-to-consumer. Through Nike's website, mobile apps, and official Nike stores, the company can sell products directly to buyers without a middleman. This is extremely powerful, because when Nike sells directly to customers, they keep a much larger portion of the profit. But there is another advantage: data. When customers buy directly from Nike, the company learns valuable information about what people like to buy, when they buy it, and how often they return. This data allows Nike to design better products and create smarter marketing campaigns. And in the modern business world, Data is incredibly valuable, but there is still another layer to Nike's strategy that many people overlook. Nike isn't really selling shoes, they're selling identity. Think about it. When someone buys a pair of Nike shoes, they're not just buying rubber, fabric, and foam. They're buying a feeling, the feeling of being athletic, the feeling of discipline, the feeling of being someone who pushes themselves to succeed. Nike's famous slogan, "Just Do It," taps directly into that psychology. It's simple, but incredibly powerful. The message isn't about shoes, it's about action. It's about motivation. It's about pushing yourself past your limits. And when a brand becomes tied to motivation and personal identity, customers form a deeper connection with it. This emotional connection is something that many companies try to create, but very few succeed at the level Nike has, because once a brand becomes part of someone's identity, customers stay loyal. And loyal customers are incredibly valuable. That loyalty is one of the biggest reasons Nike continues to dominate the global sportswear industry, not because they make the cheapest products, but because they built one of the most powerful brands on the planet. A brand built on performance, culture, storytelling, and inspiration. And once a brand reaches that level of influence, it becomes extremely difficult for competitors to catch up, because competitors are no longer just competing with products. They're competing with decades of trust, decades of marketing, and decades of cultural influence, and that is the real business model behind Nike. But Nike's influence doesn't stop with athletes or sports. Over the years, Nike has also become deeply connected with culture. Sneaker culture alone has become a massive global industry. Limited edition Nike sneakers often sell out within minutes of being released. Some pairs that originally sell for around $100 can later be resold for several hundred, or even thousands of dollars, on secondary markets. This resale market has created an entire ecosystem around Nike products. Websites, apps, collectors, and resellers all built around the demand for rare sneakers. And every time a pair of limited Nike shoes sells out instantly, it strengthens the brand even more. Because scarcity creates desire. When people feel like they might miss out on something exclusive, it makes the product even more valuable in their eyes. Nike has mastered this strategy. Instead of flooding the market with every product, they carefully control supply for certain releases. This creates hype, and hype creates attention. And attention drives sales. Another interesting part of Nike's strategy is how they constantly innovate in product technology. Over the years, Nike has introduced technologies like air cushioning, fly knit materials, and lightweight performance fabrics. These innovations help Nike stay ahead of competitors while reinforcing the idea that Nike products are built for serious performance. Even if many customers buying Nike shoes aren't professional athletes, they still like the idea that their shoes are built with the same technology used by the pros. And that perception keeps customers coming back. So when you step back and look at Nike as a whole, it becomes clear that the company isn't just selling products. Nike is selling inspiration. Nike is selling motivation. Nike is selling the idea that anyone can push themselves further, and that emotional connection is something money alone can't easily buy. It takes decades to build, which is exactly why Nike remains one of the most powerful brands in the world today. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to learn the hidden business strategies behind companies like Apple, McDonald's, Costco, and many others, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel The Money Behind It, and leave a comment telling me which company we should break down next. Because once you start understanding the money behind these companies, you'll never look at business the same way again.